Hi, this is Ingrid from Quiltessential Co in St. Albert, and we're doing 2024 block of the month, and I've been designing blocks that are great fun to use, and I've been using the Goddess tool by Needles in a Haystack. And so you can check the other videos that I've made to go with this, but here are the January instructions. So this is our January block, and this happens to be the Goddess Flora, and we're going to be having fun making this block. So let's go cut it out. So every month, the fabrics are always named. So pull out your name sheet so you know which one's which. And so these have numbers corresponding with the names so that you can know which fabric is which. So it really makes sense to do that. And then I like to either have a piece of paper with an A, B, C on it and then lay it on those fabrics, or we also have these great pins that have alphabets on them and numbers. So this happens to be A. So you're cutting out A and B, and I've suggested to you that you stack them together and cut them out into your strip width that it says in your pattern. Just leave them stacked right sides together for the next step. C, you're cutting 4 squares, D 1 square, and E a long strip. So cut those all out, have them all labeled, and you're ready to sew. So pull out your instructions, and remember, when you cut, all of the names of the fabrics are the same every month. So pull out your fabric names so you know which name is which, and then label that A, B, or C. So dark leaf in Athena happens to be A this month. So we're going to be putting A and B stacked together. You've already cut that into a strip. And we're going to straighten up the edge. The fastest and easiest way to do that is with 2 rulers. Then you don't have to move it. So you're going to put 1 ruler nice and straight here, butt up the 2nd ruler here. You're just cutting off a tiny little piece to straighten it up. Move your 2nd ruler, or the 1st ruler you put down, leave your 2nd, and cut and straighten that up. So now that's straight and ready to go. You're using the Goddess tool, and the Goddess tool we're using with the half square triangle end, and we're going to be putting the appropriate dotted line on the bottom of your strip and the blunt end on the top. And then you're going to be cutting across and then making sure, just like in your Goddess tip sheet, it says move the ruler up, slide it up, and blunt that end. And you go down your piece, cutting all those triangles out, blunting the ends. And then when you put them together, you sew straight down. And when you've pressed that open, you will have no dog ears, and it will be a perfect size. Make sure it's the size it's supposed to be, and then you're moving on to the next step. So these are our half square triangles that we have sewn, and they'll be out of your A and your B. Now we're going to be getting and cutting out our E fabric. It's also going to be cut into half square triangles, but we don't need to double it because these ones are going to be used with our cutaway. So using the half square triangle end of the ruler again, take your strip, doesn't matter if it's wrong side or right side, trim it up straight like I did with 2 rulers before, and then you're again cutting across, cutting your triangles, and you need 8 of these. And then don't forget, you need to blunt your end. Okay, so now you have the half square triangles ready for our cutaways. We're doing our cutaways now with our C's. And I like to stack at least 2 of these together just so that I can cut it a little more efficiently. So I've got a pair here, and I'll stack this pair here in a minute. And we're using the small cutaway corner. If this confuses you, don't forget to go back to your Goddess tool instructions and also go back to the video. So on your quick tip sheet, this is where it says cut the small on the corner, step 1 of a cutaway, and you're going to be lining it up nice and square here, and you're going to be cutting right across here, and then you turn it and you're cutting right across the opposite bottom corner. So you will end up with something that has two corners that are cut off. So these guys get cut off, and now we're going to sew our half square triangles ease onto those. So these are other fabrics, but just to demonstrate, here's my E half square triangle, here's my C with the two small cutaways. Place this blunt end here, sew with 1/4 of an inch, press the way I told you to, and then you can sew the other side. When you sew the other side on, again, blunt and blunt, 1/4 inch sew. When you press it, should be lovely like this, and then trim it up to the size that I've told you to trim it to. So this is how you're doing your cutaway with your small E half square triangles. And the last thing we're going to do is assemble our block. Now you're going to join your rows A and B, and you're going to be putting a C with your E's in it and sew a row. There's a top row and a bottom row. Press them the way I told you to, and with your center row, you're doing your C with the E's attached with D in the middle, and press the way I told you to, and then sew those 3 rows together. At this point, we're hoping it's going to be a 12.5 inch block. So you're going to put your 12.5 inch ruler on it and trim it down, or trim it a little tiny bit. If it's slightly bigger, if it's slightly smaller, I would wait until March. Maybe your blocks every month will be slightly bigger or bang on. Who knows? But we will deal with it in March. So don't go too crazy and cut too much off. And every month you will see what it looks like in the 3 different colorways, and there's a recipe, and it tells you about little things that are going on in our store. So don't forget to read that, and remember to come back the next time for our demos and our YouTubes. Well guys, if you found this video useful, please leave us a like and click subscribe for future content. And we will be doing Block of the Month again next month. And this has been Ingrid from Quiltessential Co, and thanks for sewing with me today, and I'll see you again soon.